You are listening to the Rising Pineapples Inspirational Talks, a video podcast series of interviews to empower women to reach their full potential. You share your questions with us and we'll bring amazing women who will answer by sharing their stories with you. Today I'll be speaking with Tischa the Tigress. Tischa physically transformed herself at the age of 38 and became a female bodybuilder in just 2 years through determination and hard work. I really hope you'll enjoy the talk. I'm really excited to kind of share your story with our community. One, because I think it is a unique topic, right? I haven't personally met a female bodybuilder before, but I know that this whole stereotype around like what a woman's body should look like and the way
Right.
that you defy that is really special.
So I am very proud of what I created. And if you don't like it, well, that's your opinion. But I created this and it took a long time to do this. And you don't know my backstory. Like I came from 300 pounds. When people say, why would you want all of that muscle? And I say, why would I want all of that fat? This is a look that I look at. And when I look in the mirror and I see those muscles, especially when I'm really lean, my goodness, it's like artwork. I love it. And so I'm proud of that. And it's not a look for a lot of guys and it's not a look for a lot of females, but it's something for me. And I want to represent those women that want to look like me, show people that there's more than just one form of beauty. You have the Coca-Cola shaped girl, the Victoria's Secret shaped girl, but you also have women that are muscular and athletic, built, and they're beautiful too. And so, but society would make you think that you have to choose. Women have to choose. You either be beautiful or you can be strong, but you can't be both because if you are, then you look like a man, or if you're strong in the head, then you're a bitch. Really? And so I hope that I am making an example because that's what the message I wanted to convey in the documentary, and it seems that is the message that people are receiving. So it's
Okay.
good.
Well, I want you to first tell us a little bit about kind of how you got into this topic and what your life looked like before you found bodybuilding.
Wow, you would never guess that I used to own and operate a daycare. I've worn many hats in my life, but prior to getting into the bodybuilding, um, I was a daycare provider and I had like 20, 22 kids in my daycare. And I ran the daycare for like 15 years. Uh, But unfortunately, through my second marriage, a person that I was married to for like maybe 5 or 6 years, he got off into doing heroin and drugs of that nature, and I just felt like I didn't sign up for that. We didn't have children together, and I didn't sign up for that type of lifestyle. So we were separated for like over a year. I hadn't seen him for like a year. It was pushing a year. We've been separated. And next thing I know, a friend of mine is calling and saying, "Did you see the news? Did you look in the paper? Like, your ex got into some street brawl and killed somebody." And I'm like, "What?" So we're in a small town, and word goes around, and I got, I think, a little bit afraid because people were approaching my children in their schools, like, that person that died was my cousin, and they're, approaching my kids. And so I thought that it was kind of unsafe for us to stay there. But the big part of it was, for my part of the move, was that when he was arrested, he used the address
Mhm.
where I was doing my daycare. And when it was in the paper, of course, parents saw that. And I went from 22 kids to like maybe two families, maybe four kids between two families. It was devastating to lose all of my parents and kids for the
Yeah.
daycare for that situation. So it caused me to move to Chicago,
Mm.
and uh, it was that move to Chicago where I started to focus more on myself and wanted to lose weight because my body was falling apart and I felt it, and it was scary at
How
30.
old were you at that time, Tisha?
I was like 38, 30, yeah, 37, 30, 38 when I moved to Chicago.
Mm.
And knees were hurting, herniated disc in the back, you know. asthma, developing sleep apnea. And so I'm looking at myself and I'm like, wow, my body is falling apart. And it's scary when you're a single parent
Mm.
and you have to take care of children and you're feeling like you're 80, but you're not even 40 yet. And so I think for me, it wasn't the asthma, it wasn't the herniated disc, it wasn't even my daughters having to help me to sit down on the toilet because my back was so messed up. But I
Mm.
think it was a sleep apnea for me, waking up and gasping for air, like because you stop breathing. So that was really terrifying for me. And I've tried the diet before, unsuccessfully. But this time I said, I'm just going to take baby steps. I'm not going to sign up for a gym. I'm not getting any fancy clothes. I'm just going to walk around the block. Because if I can commit to that every day, no matter what the weather is, then maybe I'll get a gym membership, or a new pair of sneakers or something like that.
Yeah.
But not until I could commit. And I did. And I started losing a little bit of weight and a little bit more weight. And before I knew it on my own, I had lost maybe about 35, 40 pounds, and people were noticing. So that inspired me more to keep it going.
Mm.
And then I eventually joined the gym because I felt like I had plateaued. I wasn't losing, I wasn't gaining, but I wasn't doing anything neither. So I finally hired a trainer, went through a few because we couldn't see eye to eye, and finally met one that we did see eye to eye. And it was just by accident because my trainer that I wasn't getting along with just didn't show up one night. And he was a substitute trainer. And
Mm.
he came in that one night, and then that one night I felt like Helen Keller. I don't know if you know Helen Keller,
Yeah.
blind and deaf, when she realized like what water was in the gym. He was telling me about carbs and um, how many calories that you needed to burn in order to lose a pound. And I was like, you can calculate that? He was like, yeah. I was like, you can calculate, how many, calories you can burn. And really? And he was telling me all of this stuff in the 1 hour that we were training. I was like, I get it. Food and exercise and how it goes together. And it makes me wonder how many other people don't put the two together. You
Mm.
know what I mean? About, the energy output and the food that you take in and did you know that fat, with that fat, the more muscle that you have, that it burns more energy than fat. So you could be burning calories while you're sleeping. And I was like, really?
Sign me up.
Right. So I did sign him up.
And he became
And he
like your
worked with
full,
me
yeah.
and he kicked my butt. And he started me off doing weight training because I was just doing the cardio stuff and taking step classes and trying to lose the weight that way. But he started me on weight training, and we just started off with the bar, the 45-pound bar, doing the bench press, the 12 and the 15-pound dumbbells, and they were heavy when I started. I was like, oh man, I don't think I can do this. And then before I knew it, he was putting like the 10-pound weights on the sides of the bar. And I'm like, okay. Then it was the 45-pound plates, one on each side. That's 135 pounds. Then it became two plates on each side. I think that's 225. Then after training with him for some time, I made it to 315 bench pressing.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
And at what point did you realize that you wanted to really commit to this and take it a step further from not just from the weight loss and getting in shape, but really pushing your body to this new limit that you hadn't pushed it to before?
Good question. So the trainer that I spoke of, he's the one who helped me to lose the weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 100 and I was 280, and I lost 130 pounds, and he helped me to lose that weight. But we had a mutual friend that was into bodybuilding and the bodybuilding world, and I never was in the bodybuilding world. I never looked up stuff on the internet. I never picked up a Flex magazine. I was just never into that world. But he was looking at me and he was like, you know what? you got the body for a bodybuilder. Have you ever thought about competing? And I was like, you're not gonna have me looking like no dude. I'm good. He's like, no, you won't look like a dude. You know, you got this X frame, and in the world of bodybuilding, people will kill for the X frame, and you naturally have it. You could be, a bodybuilder. I said, I'll do bikini. I do want, there's different divisions in the sport, and bikini is like the lowest division of muscularity. Like you don't have
You
the
were
body
probably at
type.
bikini already at that point.
He was like, you do not have the body type for bikini. He says you're too, broad for that. You gotta do bodybuilding. So we've argued back and forth for a few weeks because I just I didn't want to put that type of muscle on. So then he brings out this magazine one day when I get to the training, and he shows me this picture of Miss Linda Mary. She's Miss 8-time Olympia in our sport. She's won the title 8 times. So he shows me this picture of her, and I'm blown because this is the first woman that I have seen with muscles, and she looked beautiful. And I was like, you can make me look like that? Because the picture in my head was like some grotesque looking female with these big muscles. And then he shows me this picture, and she's just beautiful in the muscle and the symmetry. And I was just like, if you can make me look like that, I'll do the show. And so he got me ready in 9 months. It took 18 months to lose the weight and 9 months to get ready for the show. And so I transitioned from the one trainer to him because he's a contest trainer. And he got me ready for the show, took me through the rigorous diet. Oh my God, it's just like walking through hell. That
And
diet.
what committed you to kind of to push it that far? Because I know the dieting is very intense and the workout
Yeah,
intense. And
yeah.
were there moments where you felt
I
like,
think that as I got closer to my goal, because my initial goal was to lose 100 pounds.
yeah,
But my ultimate goal was to go back to my high school weight, which meant that I had to lose 30 more pounds to get to 150. And my trainer was like, if you get into bodybuilding, it could be a good way for you to not put that weight back on. He said, because a lot of people lose weight like you have. And as soon as they hit their goal, they relax and they put it back on. If you get into something that's conducive to, that type of lifestyle, you can keep it off. And I was already starting to like what I was seeing as far as the muscle development that I had built so far. And I was like, I kind of like this. Oh my God. Is that the frame of abs that I see? I was seeing stuff that I had never seen before. I had ran into his office one day and I was like, look. And he was like, what? What? It's a vein on my thigh. Because I had never seen veins on my thigh because I was leaning out so much. I was starting to see veins and things that I had never seen before. I was like, look.
but it's interesting what you said when he initially approached you and you said, I don't want to look like a man. And this is one of the things that you kind of have to deal with now as well. Like when
Yeah.
people are making comments or rude comments, that's one of the things that comes up. And how has your view changed on that? Because that's something that you originally felt, and now obviously that's not how you feel at all.
No,
And
yeah.
what kind of shifted your perspective on that?
What shifted is just watching my own development and how I took my body from what it was and created this body that I never really could have dreamt of. When I was overweight, I thought it was too late. I thought it was too far gone. And so because I took a lot of pictures of my transition, and just to sit there and look at the pictures from where I came from to there, and just seeing it, I fell in love with how it looked,
Yeah.
not just on my body, but even when I look at other bodybuilders and I look at the physique, and it's just such the human body when it's lean like that, and you can see every muscle and separation, and to see that on me, like I would look at magazines before all of this and say, wow, I wish I could have a body like that. And I'm looking at it, it was blowing my mind because this
Yeah.
was just something like, I wish I could be like that one day. It was just always because my belly used to go almost halfway to my knees when I used to sit down.
Wow.
So, I always just thought this was far out, thinking that I could never have a body like that. And to know that I did that, and I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding show. So we get ready for this show, and I enter this local show in Chicago, enter the show, and win the damn show. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I won the show, and they were like, not only that, but you get another trophy for best abs. What? The person where my stomach used to be halfway to my knees, you're giving me best abs? Oh, snap.
Wow.
So from the first show, I was just hooked.
Hooked.
I
Yeah.
was hooked from the energy from the crowd. They were yelling and screaming my number, my name. I nailed my routine, and everybody was just cheering. And I was just like, the energy and the confidence I felt, and the how proud I felt of my achievement, because a lot of people lose weight, but not too many people transform their body.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of people that lose weight and they actually look a lot worse when they lose the weight than when they were overweight, because they lose it, but then they don't do the weight training. And the weight training is key. It
Yeah.
is so key to lose the weight faster and also to keep it off.
So
So
this
yeah,
really started as a kind of a personal transformation for you. And
sure.
last time we spoke, you talked a lot about how much you wish that other people could feel what you feel. What is your main motivator now? Because you've already reached this stage where your body is amazing and you've reached this like new fitness level and this new kind of this challenge that you set to yourself. What is your next goal?
Yes. Yeah. Initially, I thought that it was just going to be that personal journey and my personal quest in bodybuilding. But then, as a documentary was being made, I felt like I had a bigger responsibility because of the platform that I was given
Yeah.
to try to reach out to let people know, because I know that I'm not the only one. I know that every woman is not looking to be a bodybuilder, but I know a lot of women struggle with that, wanting to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, to be able to walk in a path that feels comfortable for her without being judged by society and saying that you're out of step, because this is what we think that women should be. And to be able to show other women that this is possible to do this, and
Mm-hmm.
that yes, you could be a mother and you could be a grandmother and you can still go after your goals and your dreams. Just because you have kids doesn't mean that your life stops. You still go after those things. And if I can be that example to my other iron sisters, because I think, quite frankly, in our industry, that we feel that we are not wanted. Out of all of the divisions that we have, women's bodybuilding is always the one that it seems we get the short end of the stick. And when it comes to monetizing ourselves or our title, as far as IFBB Pro, um, we don't get many endorsements. We don't get many sponsorships, because the thought is nobody wants this muscular woman on their product. It's not going to sell. So then we feel like we're not validated. Well, the only place that we're validated is on the contest stage, but outside of our world, we're freaks of nature and we're not wanted. And so by me doing this documentary, by me working here in Berlin as a professional performance dancer, I hope that I'm showing my other iron sisters that there's life beyond bodybuilding if you choose that. You know what I mean? And so I hope that I'm being that example for women and giving them confidence. I hope that it's also an example for men, because we talk about the stereotypes of women, but it also hits the men too, because I know that there are a lot of men that are attracted to me, and they are afraid to admit that because of society.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they admit that, then what will their boys think? Or what will other females think if they know that they're attracted to a muscular female? And so they feel like they have to hide something like that. And it's a shame that a guy would feel that way, that he's attracted to someone, but because of what society says, that he can't express that. And so that's what I'm fighting against, because of the stereotypes and the barriers and that are set up, and I just don't feel are fair, and the things that I've had experience because of that. if I can just share with other people and shift their perspective about about what beauty is, about what the strength of a woman is. If I can shift that perspective, then I feel like I'm doing something. And I feel like I'm doing that because the club that I work in, a Kit Kat club, I've had guys come up to me and say, wow, I totally respect women now. I mean, when I saw you, I just totally have a different respect for women. I never thought that I could be attracted, or I never thought that I could see a beautiful woman that is muscular, but you totally changed my perspective. If I can do that, then I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. And
Yeah.
everything that I've gone through, it's worth it.
And how do
Mm.
you deal with a lot of the negativity that you have coming in as well, right? I mean, there's a lot of positivity, but I think sometimes the hurtful comments. I mean, I saw in the documentary when this guy was shouting at you and you said, "Don't hate me because you wish you had what I have." And I love that confidence, but how is that something that you developed over time, or is that something that you've just always felt?
No, I think that when I first got into the bodybuilding, my first year of putting the muscle on was kind of through the winter, the fall and the winter. So by the time spring and summer came around, it was time to like, okay, I got to take off the sweater because it's too hot to wear, and people are going to really see what I've been doing this last 8 or 9 months. How are people going to receive it? And I think at that time, at the beginning, it was still kind of ambiguous. You couldn't tell what I was. Was I a swimmer? Was I a power lifter? Because I just had the bulk on. But coming, as I got more muscular and more defined, you could definitely tell that I was a bodybuilder. It was very hard at the beginning. I mean, very exciting for people to call out in the street, "What are you, a man? Are you a freak over there?" Or you can be you think you're having a genuine conversation with someone, that you may pass, or someone may make a comment with you on the street. Oh, you look nice. And then they'll start talking to you. "Oh, well, thank you." And you're having a conversation, and maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the conversation, they're like, "So let me ask you something. Are you a man?" And it used to just take me away, because I thought that, why would you, don't I look like a female? Like, why would you? I mean, I get the muscles, but can't women can't women have muscles too? And it started to offend me, actually, and it would make me so mad. There was times that I would be very, very upset at the things that used to happen. I would go out to a party, and people, some people would try to grab me between the legs to see if I had a penis, and these type of things would just make me so upset and so hurt. And there was many nights that I went home crying over it, and you just get tired of doing that sometimes.
Mhm.
And you feel like, you know what, you look in the mirror, and this is what I was saying in the documentary, I, do you like what you have created? You know, are you proud of what you've done? And then I have to answer myself, yes, I'm damn proud of when I look in the mirror and I look at this body, especially contest ready. Oh, I'm in love with my body, and I'm not trying to be conceited, but I'm like, I did that.
Yeah.
So screw how you feel. That's how I had to get to that point. But at the beginning, it wasn't like that. But now it's just like, you don't like how I look? Oh, well. Oh, you're calling me this or that? You're the hater. Because really deep down inside, you wish you had a body like this. You know what I mean? And so I had to build that confidence, because it wasn't there at the beginning. Terrified of how people were going to take me,
My
and I found that.
Yeah, my last question for you is, what would your advice be for someone who is very much at the beginning of their journey of finding their why? What would your advice be to them?
Oh man, I would say definitely, because what I had to do was forgive myself, at the beginning of my journey. Because when I mean forgive myself, when I used to look into the mirror, whatever the situation is for the person, but for me, I hated what I had did to my body. I was very disappointed. I was very hurt that I allowed my body to get like that, because I used to be an athlete in school, and I
Mhm.
was 150 pounds, gymnastics, volleyball, very fit. And I let my body just waste away. And I was upset and disappointed and disgusted when I looked at my body. It was just, when you hate yourself like that, then you can't love yourself properly the way you need to. And so I felt like I had to come outside of myself and look at my body as like another person and say, you know what, body, please forgive me for what I did to you. And it's like I had to forgive myself because I was beating myself up so much that I couldn't love myself and take the time out to start working on myself. So I would say for beginners, forgive yourself for whatever it is so that you can move forward, so that you can start to see the things that you need to work on. You know what I mean? And not beat yourself up over the areas that you haven't the goals that you set for yourself, you haven't met them yet. So don't beat yourself up for that. But one day at a time, one thing at a time. And that's how I took the weight loss. Just looking at myself, I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself as the baby. I'm not going to look at myself in the mirror as a grown woman with this body. What I'm going to do is that now I'm going to consider myself like a baby because I know when I brought my first baby home, my daughter, when I was 18, I brought my daughter home. There's not nothing I wouldn't have done to make sure she was fed right, that she was taken care of good, make sure she got her meals every 2 to 3 hours, like the doctor told me. Make sure I read the ingredients. That's what you do for a baby. You know what I mean? When you go out, you make sure you pack the diaper bag more than what you need because you don't know how long you're going to be out. So you want to make sure you have. So I said, I'm going to treat myself like the baby now. And I'm going to make sure that I eat properly because you wouldn't wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock and not feed the baby until 3. You know what I mean? You wouldn't go out and about all day and not bring any food for the baby. That would be neglect. That would be abuse. And I had to think, you know what? That's what I'm doing to myself. I'm getting up in the morning. I'm not eating until 3 or 4. You know what I mean? I'm eating a whole bunch of junk in the morning. Would I do that to a baby? No. And so now I'm going to treat myself like a baby. And as a baby, even when babies and kids do something, you forgive them because they're learning. So I had to learn to forgive myself. And I started to do that. And then when you start to love yourself better, you can start to work on yourself. You can start to see the things in a more, not so much critical lens of yourself. You can see yourself in a more rehabilitating type of lens. Yes, this may be wrong about me, but I'm working on it. Instead of thinking, yes, this is wrong about me and I'm just a loser. There's different ways of looking at it. And so that's what I chose to do. I chose to look at my life in a different way. So people can first start by forgiving themselves and then looking at their life in a different lens, maybe to change the perspective. Like I had to look at myself as a baby. Look at yourself in a different lens so that you can see more objectively.
Thank you so much, Tischa. I really just have to say thank you because I can see how passionate you are about what you do. And I love the message that you're sharing with other people. And also, honestly, that you're 50 years old and you're still learning and you're still trying new things and you're still discovering and,
So
you know,
exciting.
yeah.
Yes, and I hope that's the message too that I can get across to women that, there's no age limit in which you can change what you want to do, who you want to be, where you want to go. I just picked up and left New York and just said, you know what, I'm moving to Germany. And people were like, are you crazy? And I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Like, what's stopping me? My kids are all grown. They're all telling me, go for it, mom. So like, why not? And I'm so glad I did it. Yeah, if I can send that energy out to other women to say, you know what, I can do that too. If she's a mother, a grandmother, 50, I can do it too.
Thank you for listening to our video series. We hope this story will inspire you to take action and reveal your unique potential. Make sure to follow Rising Pineapples on our social media to learn more about the next episodes.